The Michigan Wolverines just got a massive gift. Let's talk about it. My name is Paul. Together with my buddy Aaron, we are the Big Ten guys. Tune in daily for news, insights, analysis, anything you could ever want Big Ten football. This is the channel for you. So please just take a quick second, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Might as well get some alerts on too, because we have a lot more Michigan and Big Ten content coming. You do not want to miss out. So, if you haven't caught Michigan's schedule yet this year, week 2 they play the Oklahoma Sooners. Recently were placed number 18 in the first preliminary AP polls. And they play them in Norman, Oklahoma. Going to be a hostile environment. A lot of people have that penciled in as one of Michigan's toughest games on the season. To make matters even more difficult, you got Michigan, no matter what, is going to have a new quarterback in that game. Very likely it's going to be a true freshman, Bryce Underwood. Not ideal to have a true freshman have one of their first games on the road. But the game might have just gotten a little easier for Michigan. Let's take a look at the news that just broke today. John Mateer, the star transfer quarterback that Oklahoma just brought in from Washington State, has been linked to sports gambling. People found his Venmo account and he paid Richard Roten, who I believe is a former teammate of his when they were freshmen at Washington State, for sports gambling. Even made a reference to one of them being on the UCLA versus USC game. Still a lot to come out about this story, but he since has deleted everything in his Venmo account, and we don't know where this story is going to go. Now, he did put out a statement today. He said, "The allegations that I once participated in sports gambling are false. My previous Venmo descriptions did not accurately portray the transaction, but were instead jokes. I've never bet on sports. I understand the seriousness of the matter, but recognize that taken out of context, these Venmo descriptions suggest otherwise. I assure everybody that I have not engaged in any sports gambling." So that's his statement. Take it for what you will. But this is not good for Oklahoma. He is in hot water. If they can prove that he actually did pay somebody to bet on a sporting event, he is toast. Very likely will get suspended for the whole season. I mean, depending on what all they uncover, he could potentially get a lifetime ban. They take sports gambling so seriously. I know, to my knowledge, I haven't seen a college athlete get suspended for it yet. Hit me up in the comments if I'm missing a story here, but I know Calvin Ridley got a full year suspension in the NFL. There's been some NBA incidents, and they lay the hammer down on you when you gamble on the sport that you play in. So a few things could happen here. For one, I mean, they could end up tracing his Venmo transaction and finding that he never did bet on sports. Could be declared innocent. Not going to say that's outside of the realm of possibilities. If they do fear that he may have engaged in this, I think the smart thing for Oklahoma to do would be to impose a suspension at the beginning of the season on him. Now, you saw Michigan kind of do this when the Connor Stallions stuff broke out. Like, it's smart to get ahead of your potential punishments and especially try to suspend your coaches for games that might not necessarily matter as much. I know Michigan obviously is a big game, but it's not a conference game. If they lose John Mateer for a few games, they would much rather it be against Michigan and their easy non-conference games rather than against SEC opponents. So I could see that as a possibility, a self-imposed suspension. Obviously, you never know if the with Michigan, the Big Ten and the NCAA stepped in, and Harbaugh got suspended for the bigger games in the year, but that didn't matter anyway. Still won the Natty. So I don't know what's going to happen here with Mateer. If they can prove that he sports gambled, like I said, he's done. There's no place for that in college sports. He would never suit up for the Sooners. But even if he does suit up in the game, this is big for the Maize and Blue because, everything we're hearing out of Michigan's camp is how good they're looking, how the offense is looking explosive, the defense is going to be every bit as good. They're grinding every day, getting better, and Oklahoma now has to deal with this nonsense. I mean, what are you doing, Mateer? Like, I know, they're just kids. He was probably 18 when this happened, but, just a boneheaded mistake from him. Even if it is just a joke, what a terrible joke. You got to realize in this day and age, you can't get away with stuff like that. It was always going to come back to bite him, and now, while they should be preparing for the season and for the biggest game of the year, he's got to worry about this. I'm sure the NCAA is going to come a-calling at him, and he's going to have to be answering questions and pulling receipts and dealing with investigations, and that's perfect for Michigan because that's less time he's spending focused and preparing for that game. And, just a little more on Mateer. He was the number 3 transfer QB. Personally, I'd put him above Carson Beck. I think Carson Beck really wasn't that great last year and is a little overrated. But he threw for almost 30 touchdowns, over 3,000 yards at Washington State. Oklahoma is number 18 in the AP poll, and it is largely because people really think he's going to be big for them. But outside of him, even if he does play in the game, I think Michigan, especially with this looming over Oklahoma's head, I think they're the better team. I mean, Oklahoma went 6-7 last year. CBS listed them as the most overrated team in the AP poll. You look at it, says they allowed 50 sacks last year, which is the most in the entire country. And man, Michigan's D-line is just going to feast on that. I'm pretty sure Jalen Milroe, he's trying to succeed in Seattle. He probably is still waking up in the middle of the night with a cold sweat some nights thinking about Michigan's pass rush and the way that they destroyed his really good Alabama offensive line 2 years in a row. Now Michigan's going to be pinning their ears back against one of the worst offensive lines in the country. Derek Moore is primed for a huge year, and I think he's going to tear them up. And they really didn't do a ton to improve their offensive line. Looking at their projected depth chart this year, the only portal player they brought in is Derek Simmons right here out of West Carolina. I'm not going to sit here and hate on the guy. He was listed as a 4-star transfer. He might be good. He might not be. I'm not going to pretend like I can give you great analysis of West Carolina football. But what I can tell you is bringing in one right tackle from a small-time program is not going to magically fix the worst offensive line in college football. So whether Mateer is there or not, Michigan is going to torch that D-line, and this is all just great news for the Maize and Blue. What was supposed to be their toughest early season test, now, it's still going to be a challenging environment, especially for a true freshman. But just knowing this program's distracted, they're dealing with controversy, they're dealing with scandal, and it's possible, who knows, they might not even have their new star QB in that game. So all big news for the Maize and Blue. Hoping we got more good news coming. Shamari Earls kind of made a reference to Savion Hyder being someone who's going to commit to Michigan next week, so hopefully that comes true and we can put out a video about that. But future's bright in Ann Arbor. Lots of important games this year, so don't miss out on all the news we're going to be bringing. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and we'll catch you next time.